The war zone. It is, Elijah said, his voice steady, but it's our land. And other buildings, it was
Good evening, everyone. I trust you had a good day. For those who just came in, we're running a little late, and we expect to start at 7:50. I appreciate your patience. Sorry about this, and we hope you have a good time with the information that will be delivered. Just hang on for us for a few more minutes. Thanks much.
I lost my.
I know it when I usually came here to visit.
Feet4Life. Okay.
Looking at the top there of an overview of the city of Boston.
Who?
Government town hall for
in the cost of basic construction materials between coming from countries from Canada and or China, which, interesting enough, is about 60 to 70% of all construction materials that is consumed in the Bahamas. So everyone needs to understand that whatever pricing you're seeing right now, maybe a little bit. I can guarantee if this trade war, maybe know where the prices will go. And it's a
Don't stop making noise, girl.
government of Bahamas didn't really do about that because
Poco vale.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are about to get started. Sorry, I had my camera covered. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Can someone just give me a thumbs up that they can hear me?
Evening.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So we're going to get started with our meeting. Apologize for running a little bit late today. We were at, I was at South Beach Clinic working in the Foot Fest. So we ran a little bit late and I had to take a few minutes to get here. So thank you so much for hanging on and being here. And we're happy that we were able to see all of our patients and be able to still get to the meeting. Thank you for your patience, for waiting, and we appreciate your support and being here. I am Dr. Monique Mitchell, and I'm your host for this evening for our monthly Feet4Life online diabetic seminar or webinar. I want to welcome everyone here tonight. And for those who are joining us for the first time, we want to say a special welcome to you. And we know that a lot of persons are participating in the Foot Fest. I'll tell you a little bit about that as we wait. And then we just want to remind persons to mute their mics while we have our presentation going on. We will definitely answer all your questions at the end of the presentation. Tonight, we are live via Zoom, and then we're also doing Facebook. Let me see if I can live stream on Facebook while we're doing this. I'll do the live stream once we get started. So right now, we are going to do a little bit of housekeeping, talk a little bit about why we begin this meeting, and then we will also talk a little bit about our presentation for tonight. First of all, I want to ask persons to give me a thumbs up if they've heard about the Foot Fest. And if you attended, then yes, wonderful. But at least let us know that you heard a little bit about it. So go in the chat and put you can use any of the emojis you want. Just put one up there in the chat so that we can see if you actually heard about the Foot Fest. And then the second thing I want you to do is to actually tell us where you're visiting from or where you're joining us from for the meeting so that we would know exactly where you're joining us from, and we can actually greet you as well. And we anticipate having a lot of visitors in a little while who are also here for the Foot Fest. So our Foot Fest is an annual meeting that we have here in the Bahamas, and it's a collaboration between Barry University, a School of Podiatric Medicine, which is the school that I attended to become a podiatrist, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness here in New Providence. So as a result of that, we provide free podiatry clinics to persons care that they need for any foot complaint. So most of our patients actually are diabetics. I think last year about 55 to 60% of our patient load was actually persons with diabetes. And I think it's going to be around the same number as well this year, which is good. We like that. So the next thing is we are at four of the government clinics. So that's Elizabeth Estate, Flamingo Gardens, Fleming Street, as well as good where's the other one? Oh, South Beach Health Center, the one I just came from. Okay. And this year, for the first time, we actually have a community site at the Good News Seventh-day Adventist Church, which is close to Flamingo Gardens Clinic. And that site has been really, really, really busy as well. So persons who have any foot complaint are welcome to still go. We have one more day left, which is Friday. Tomorrow afternoon will be our last day at all of those sites, except the Good News Church site. We won't be there tomorrow anymore. But the other four clinics, we'll be there from 12 to 5. So we're inviting persons, if you know somebody who may have a foot problem or any foot concern, or just would like to have their feet checked because they're diabetic or they may have had some problems in the past, we invite them to come down and participate in the Foot Fest. So I would just like to say that we have quite a bit of persons joining us. We have Freeport in the house. We have 8 Mile Rock in Grand Bahama, Freeport, as well as, that's my cat, I'm sure y'all can hear her. So Rumkey, St. Jane, you in Rumkey again? You've been out me? Now remember, you're supposed to take me. So Rumkey is in the house, Eleuthera is in the house, South Eleuthera, Rock Sound, Eleuthera, Freeport, Grand Bahama, 8 Mile Rock, Grand Bahama, Freeport,
Exoma.
Nassau. Oh, Exuma is in the house as well. Of course, New Providence is in the house. So we're very, very excited that all of you are here. And we're about to begin our meeting. And Marie is from Nassau, and this is her first time being with us at Feet4Life. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So remember as well that our meetings are recorded, and we have a Zoom YouTube channel that we post all of our videos on, so that if you missed a meeting, you can actually go to our YouTube channel called Feet4Life 242. That's FEET, the number 4, Life 242. And so we'd like to be able to, for you to go back and see some of the exciting meetings that we've had in the past. Now, the purpose for this meeting is really to provide our persons who attend with information and skills to be able to better manage their diabetes, especially the diabetic foot, and to prevent complications. And so tonight we have an exciting presentation on how to prevent complications in diabetes for you. But as I can tell you, our speaker is actually on the way home from South Beach Clinic with me. And so I live closer, so I arrived first. So we're just gonna hold on a few more minutes for her to get on the program tonight. So why do we start this meeting in terms of what is going on? And so before we go on any further, we are going to pause and have a word of prayer. We usually have a devotion, and I thought that we were not going to have one tonight, but we are going to have a short devotion so that we don't break tradition. And we definitely want our meeting tonight to be blessed.
So give us
a
moment
of your time. So as we do our devotion at this time, Elder Audley Mitchell from the Berea Seventh-day Adventist Church will be doing our devotion.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be at this meeting, and I trust we'll all learn a lot about our feet and the benefits good, healthy feet have in our lives. What does the Bible say about feet? A number of things, but we gotta just use a little play on words from the book of Ephesians, the epistle of Paul the apostle to the Ephesians chapter 6. I'll read a little from you, verses 12 through 18 from the easy to read version of the Bible, more modern translation than some of us normally hear. Verse 12 begins, "Our fight is not against people on earth. We are fighting against the rulers and authorities and the powers of this world's darkness. We are fighting against the spiritual powers of evil in the heavenly places. This is why you need to get God's full armor. Then on the day of evil, you will be able to stand strong. And when you have finished the whole fight, you will still be standing. So stand strong with the belt of truth tied about your waist, and on your chest wear the protection of right living. On your feet wear the good news of peace to help you stand strong. And also use the shield of faith with which you can stop all the burning arrows that come from the evil one. Accept God's salvation as your helmet and take the sword of the Spirit. The sword is the teaching of God." The Apostle Paul, when he wrote this letter to the Ephesians, was using some illustrations from the Roman soldier and how he was dressed for battle. This was a common sight. That's why you see the reference to the sword and the helmet and having your feet shod. The thing is, about the Roman soldier, the feet had to remain very healthy. Rome was an expanding empire. They were always about making colonies and expanding the kingdom. And they needed strong, healthy soldiers. And one of the most important things of a soldier, he might have had all the other armor, all the other skills, the sword and the shield and all the rest of it. But if his feet could not take him into battle, he was pretty much useless. If we look at that in our lives today, you know, if you hurt your hand or some other part of your body, you can wrap it up, you can put your arm in a sling. You don't get very far without good, healthy feet. That's one of the purposes of this program, to encourage us to take care of our feet and our overall health, because it allows us to be useful in the areas of our lives that give us pleasure, that help other people, that do charity, and do God's work. So let's keep our feet healthy by keeping our whole bodies healthy, by keeping our minds healthy, and most of all, being spiritually healthy. Let's remember that God made us and he wants us to be healthy. He wants to give us knowledge and information that we can be healthy for ourselves and also help other people to do so. No matter what you believe, no matter how you think, nobody wants to feel bad. Nobody wants to be ill. Nobody wants unhealthy feet that are going to prevent them from doing the things that they want to do, that they need to do, that they'd like to do, and helping other people. So have your feet healthy. Take care of them. Take care of the whole body. Good nutrition, and use a little bit of wisdom that's going to be imparted tonight, and have good, healthy feet. And you too can walk into the battle for God and come out after it's all over, still standing and victorious. May God bless you as you learn a little bit this evening. I hope I will learn a little bit also, and we can have healthier feet, healthier lives, and praise God. Thank you very much.
Hey. Hey.
Amen. Amen.
You can hear me? You can hear me, Debbie?
Thank you for that devotion, Elder Mitchell. Very, very good. We all want to have healthy feet. And so definitely we want to learn the information that we have tonight, as well as apply, not only learn it, but apply it to our lives. So we want to thank you for that prayer and for the devotion, encouraging us to also have healthy feet. So, you know, we started this meeting some time back after COVID. And the reason why is we wanted to provide skills, knowledge and skills to persons so that they can better take care of their feet. So, but why? Many persons, as many as 25% of persons living with diabetes, will experience foot complications in their lifetime. Foot complications are some of the most common, most costly, and the most feared. When it comes to diabetes, just even seconds count, because in every 1.2 seconds, someone develops a diabetic foot ulcer. Every 7 seconds, someone dies from diabetes. Every 20 seconds, we've heard this one before, someone gets an amputation due to diabetes. Not necessarily here in the Bahamas, but definitely around the world. But we've been noticing that here in the Bahamas, our level of complications, or the number of persons having complications, have also been increasing. And we want to decrease that. That's why we started this meeting. So we wanted to do something to be able to prevent that from happening. Many persons attend the meeting and they learn what they need to do and actually prevent themselves from getting complications. Feet health is a vital component to our overall health. And we've learned that not only through this session, but also from our devotion that we just had. Because if your feet are not healthy, you're going to have a challenge with walking. You may have a problem with just mobility, working, and doing the things that you need to do. So we definitely want to have healthy feet. And as we age, as a result as well, diabetes can affect the way we walk and the pain and all the things that we may have as a result of having diabetes. So tonight we have a speaker who is going to talk to us about how to prevent complications. Before we go to our speaker, I have a short video that I'm going to share with you, and then we're going to give you an opportunity to ask any questions, if you're ready to, if you have any questions at this time. So just give me a moment.
Hey man, hi,
Hi,
hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is my mother Hazel Chipman. She has a question.
Just hold on for me 1 second. I'm trying to start the video. So as soon as the
Okay,
video stops, I
okay,
will do
okay.
the
Then she just
question. So
called
just
me.
give me 1 minute.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
No problem at all.
Okay,
I'm gonna stop and then try it again. Hold on 1 minute for me. That looks like it didn't do it. Okay, let me start it first. Okay, it looks like my video is not working. So go ahead with your question.
Here she is, Hazel Chipman.
Hi, Miss Chipman. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Mitchell. I miss you.
I miss you too.
Listen, what happened, Dr. Mitchell, at nights? My
Mhm.
toes hurt me so bad. I have to take the socks off, rub the toes, and then I go back to sleep. But I
Okay.
mean pain.
Pain. Is it like numbness or tingling or burning or
No,
sharp pain?
sharp pain, sharp pain. I mean, even the heel is hurt sometimes.
Okay. All right. So I have a question for you. So when the foot is hurting, if you hang it off the side of the bed, is that better or is that worse?
Yeah, you're right. I did that and that eased it a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All right.
found that out.
Uh-huh. So, Ms. Chipman, that may be a circulation problem.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
what
a
I said.
circulation problem because when the foot is on top of the bed, the
Yeah,
blood flow you know, it may slow down a little bit, but when you hang it off the side of the bed, gravity helps the blood to go down to the toes, and so it helps to ease that pain.
Yeah.
Okay, so definitely do not put the foot up on any pillows because that's gonna take more of the blood flow out.
Okay.
So it's better to just, you know, it's a circulation problem. So you're gonna have to see the vascular doctor and see if there's anything else. Sometimes we have medication that will help with the blood flow. And then, you know, sometimes they may have to do a procedure sometimes, but you definitely need to see the vascular doctor. So I would recommend seeing Dr. Farquharson or Dr. Sands or Dr. Lucas or one of them like that.
Is that Dwayne Sands?
Yes, ma'am. You could see him as well.
Okay.
Delton Farquharson, Dr. Lucas, or Dr. Sands.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
No
much.
problem.
Thank you.
Very
You're
much,
welcome.
Dr.
Looks like you're
Mitchell.
enjoying dinner.
Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. I put it on for her. I said, you'll eat and do it. I said, we're gonna be doing this.
Yes,
Nice seeing
ma'am.
you again.
Nice seeing you too.
Yeah,
Is there
okay.
anyone else with a question? Because my video doesn't look like it's gonna work tonight. You can close your camera. Anyone else have a question? We want to recognize our first timers. We have here Empress Lisi. All right, first time. And then somebody else on the G71L says my first time also. And my cousin sent this to me. So it was really, really good to have all of you here tonight.
Hello.
Okay. All right, so does anybody else have another question?
I can't get on. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Oh, yes, my name is Laverne. I'm from Freeport, Grand Bahama. I do have a diabetic also at the bottom of my feet. First, it started on left foot, and then the right foot had to take a lot of pressure because I had to walk, put more strength on the right foot to balance the left foot. Then now the right foot started. But doctor recommended me to go see Dr. Parkinson here in Freeport by Davis House, and so what he did now, he put the leg in cast over to ease up on some of the pressure by walking. And so far the wound is healing up okay.
Awesome.
Getting smaller. But I think in Grand Bahama we do need a podiatrist here that we see, because I always travel to Nassau to see Dr. Daniel Johnson.
Okay.
So it's very costly, and you know, things that you need. Invalidity, let's call it, with national insurance, because I couldn't work no more because of my back problem. But
okay.
Need a podiatrist here in Grand Bahama that people can go to, even if
Well, I actually come to Grand Bahama. Usually it's the third Thursday, so I think I'm there on the 19th of the month. So yeah, and we're working on having a podiatrist there every week because there are a number of us now, and so we're trying to organize it so we can have one there every week. And so we're in the process of doing that. So hopefully things will improve soon. But we definitely, yeah.
level or private.
Oh no, that's private. We only have one government podiatrist, and that's Dr. Johnson, and he only works at South Beach on Thursday afternoon. Yes.
I was there. I ended up staying in Nassau for a whole year, 12 months, because he had to do a surgery on my left foot by being for 7+ years. It wouldn't. And I went to a clinic and tell me about it. When he checked my feet in February 2020, he said I could save your feet. There's a bone that's out of place that would cause all the time. They want to fix it, get healed. But COVID came in the same time. I ended up in a whole year. I was waiting. And finally, when I get to get the surgery, I went to his private clinic to, and 5, 7, 7.5 years, almost 8 years, my foot healed. I'm like, wow. So,
Okay.
but at the same minute, we could get one on least government level, because you find a lot of people right now on disability not working and all of that. So you can't to come.
Yeah.
But Dr. Johnson have his private clinic. He also have a foot care, which is much cheaper, which is like $55 you pay for every time you go for.
So one of the things we need to do is advocate. So you have the power as the people, to advocate for what you want. Grand Bahama has a voice, so they need to speak and say what it is that they need. And I think that is something that you can advocate for, and be able to get it. Okay, so that is something that maybe collectively you may be able to do that as well. So Clarence Bryce, you can go ahead and ask your question. Just unmute and ask your question.
Good day. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So, it's in reference to my girlfriend. She's currently at EMH Hospital, right? She
Mm-hmm.
has a plethora of other things going on with her, but the main thing that I have concerned with is the situation going on with her toes right now. Whereas I noticed like her three toes on both sides, the first three toes, they're like black in coloration. They're black in coloration. You know.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if how much it may cost for you to maybe give it a check and stuff to see
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. Um,
So yeah. So I'm sorry to hear that, but I currently do not work at Princess Margaret, and they do not allow outside doctors to come there. So
mhm.
if when she's discharged, I'll be happy to see her. That's no problem. But currently while she's in hospital, only PMH doctors can see her.
Okay. Is there anything that you
So
could tell me in
I would
reference to like weather
recommend,
tools?
sorry?
Is there anything that you can tell me in reference to like weather tools, like what I should let her know? Because like I said, they've gotten like relatively black in coloration. I have seen it start to like clear up
Mm-hmm.
kind gradually, I could say, but
Okay.
is that like assume the worst type situation, or um what steps do I take?
So what I would recommend is that maybe they would do a vascular consult, because black toes usually indicates that it may be a vascular problem. So I would say if Dr. Delton Farquharson is not seeing her, that would be a first step. She need to see Dr. Farquharson maybe would be the person to check him out.
Okay,
Vascular
so
means
coincidence.
blood flow. So that
Okay.
that is the doctor that helps to increase the blood flow to the feet. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes, I haven't seen her foot, so I don't know. I'm just going by what you're saying. So
Mm-hmm.
if they're turning dark, usually that means that it may be a blood flow issue. So I would recommend that, if she hasn't seen him or the people who work with him, then she can probably ask the doctors there if she could see them. And then
Okay,
that
great.
would be, I think, would be like the first strategy or a good thing to do, so that she can get the evaluation that she needs and the care or the intervention that she may need while she's in hospital. So that
Mm-hmm.
that is what I would recommend.
Okay, great. So, like, thank you so much for your answers. Coincidentally, I spoke with the nurse. She has, I guess, seen Dr. Farkas and has seen her. You
Yes.
know, so it is good that you brought up his name, because that was a name that came up when I asked the nurse in reference to what's going on. I guess they just still running some more tests to see
Well,
the
exactly.
what's the
Mm-hmm.
fix for it and stuff like that. But they say they don't want to go straight to amputate, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still looming over.
Okay.
All right.
Well, at least they're
Okay.
trying to save it, and Dr. Farquharson will definitely do his very best to
Mm-hmm.
prevent that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, ma'am. You have a
You're
wonderful day.
welcome. You're welcome. So I would like to also, do we have anyone else with a question? Okay, so one of the things that really contributes to why persons, this is a common question we see, what are some of the things that contribute to why people end up getting an amputation? And so we could see that we've already covered, I guess, one or two of them here tonight. So sometimes persons may get, once they have diabetes, they may actually develop what is called neuropathy, or that's diabetic nerve pain or damage to the nerves as a result of diabetes. And once the nerves are damaged, then persons lose feeling in the feet, and then they can develop they can get an injury and not realize that they're injured, and then as a result of that they may end up with an ulcer. If you get an ulcer, then you don't have good blood flow, then you get an infection, and then it can lead to an amputation. And so a lot of times persons go down the slippery slope towards an amputation, simply because the diabetes was not under control or something like that, and they may have missed getting an injury, maybe walking barefoot and getting stuck with a tack or a nail, or getting a scratch or something like that that becomes infected because you didn't realize that you had an injury. And so it's a pathway. So it's not like you get diabetes today and then tomorrow you get neuropathy and then tomorrow you get an amputation. So it's usually a pathway. It takes a little while. And so diabetes control is very, very important. Making sure that you're taking your medication if you're on medication, or making sure that you're practicing the lifestyle practices that you need to do to prevent the diabetes, or to control the diabetes or prevent it from getting worse. One, making sure that you're eating a balanced diet. You're eating your fruits in moderation, your vegetables, your, lean protein or vegan protein, something like that. And then you're staying away from the processed foods like the rice, the white rice and the white bread and the white pasta and all of these things. And of course, the sugar, staying away from that, because that directly affects your blood sugar. Okay? And so making sure that you're eating a balanced diet, but you're also watching the quantity of the food that you're eating. And it's better to watch, one serving of carbohydrate or starches is about a half of a cup. So let's say rice. A half a cup of rice is a serving, a half a cup of pasta, half a cup of potato, all of those, that's how much you should have. So if you have to eat more, because sometimes you may not feel full on that amount of starch, then eat more vegetable, eat more salad, eat more broccoli, eat more lettuce, more cucumber, more asparagus, green beans, these type of things. Don't eat more cassava or more potato or more rice, or and then you can have your lean meat, your protein like chicken or fish or beans or tofu or whatever protein it is that you're going to eat. And then that is how you make your plate so that you're able to do. So the three components should be on your plate, should be the starch, the protein, and the vegetable. So your vegetable take up half of the plate. Okay, the plate is round and take up half. It could be cooked and it could be raw or raw. And then 1/4 of the plate will be your starch. And then the other quarter of your plate will be your protein. Okay, so you definitely, if you eat that way, then you will have a better chance of controlling your blood sugar. The next thing you can do is being active. The more active you are, the better it is for your blood sugar control. Moving those muscles help to decrease insulin resistance, or when the muscles do not absorb the insulin the way into the cells as they should. It's because sometimes we're inactive. We're not being active enough. And so making sure that you're doing what it is you need to do. Just walk just a half-hour walk. Walk for 15 minutes and then walk back home for the next 15 minutes. As simple as that. Even if you can't go out to the park or the street, walk in your yard. And you know, the good thing about exercise is that you don't have to do it all one time. You can do 15 minutes in the morning and then you can do 15 minutes later in the day. And so you can definitely get that exercise in. You can actually, how many times I've walked to YouTube, you know, like you turn on YouTube on your phone or on your computer or on your TV even. And then once you do that, you can actually just walk. They have programs where you walk for 15 minutes, walk 5 miles, however it is you want to do. And you can actually exercise, or you can do other exercises like aerobics or tennis or whatever else it is that you would like to do. But being active is important. Okay? It helps with controlling your insulin and controlling your diabetes. Some of the other things that we don't even think about are sleep. How much do we sleep? We need to make sure that we're sleeping because that is when the body repairs itself. It helps with our hormone levels and it actually helps to control your blood sugar. So sleeping is critical to a good blood sugar control and also weight loss. So that is good as well. And so that brings us to weight loss. So a lot of us may have a few pounds or a few more pounds that we need to lose. And so by losing 10% of our body weight, so let's say you weigh 150 and you want to lose 10%, that would be 15 pounds. Okay, so it's not a lot, but you start with that and then you can move. If you need to lose more, then you can move on to that. But research shows that even 10%, losing 10% of your body weight can actually improve your glucose control and make sure that your sugar is under control. So hold on one second for me. I'm not seeing my entry. So, okay, so even 10% of body weight, if you lose somebody's mic. Okay. Even losing 10% of body weight is important for controlling your blood sugar. And so we encourage weight loss if you need to be able to control your blood sugar. So we talked about 5 things. 1, if you're on blood sugar medication, we recommend that you take them as they're ordered, but you can also do lifestyle things that you can do to help control your blood sugar. 1, eating a balanced diet. Okay, we talked about the components of that diet. And then I did not mention, avoid drinking sugary beverages, sugar sweetened beverages like sodas and juices and all these things. It's better to get your sweets from a fruit than to drink it. Okay, because that will not help to control it. So make sure that you're drinking water as the drink of choice. Avoid any sweet beverages, avoid juices even. You know, the best thing, if you're gonna have a juice, eat the fruit. Take an apple or an orange or whatever it is you want to do. It's better to do that than to drink those juices. We talk about exercise. We talk about we're talking about exercise, being active. We talk about making sure that you're moving at least 30 minutes a day it's better for your health. The next thing we talked about was making sure that if you are a bit overweight or losing a few pounds, 10% of your body weight, research has shown has resulted in better blood sugar control. Now, once we talk about neuropathy, we talk about controlling the blood sugar. And now we're going to talk a little bit about what if you do have a little problem with your feet. Sometimes you have calluses, sometimes you have, sorry, one second. Look in the chat, read it. I don't see anything. So we're talking about making sure that persons are able to save their feet. So if you have a challenge with your feet, let's say you have a callus, or you may have a corn, or you may have a deformity like a hammer toe or something like that, and you would like to know what to do about it. What if you even have an ulcer? We had a person talk tonight about having an ulcer. There are many things that can be done to assist you. Once you have a deformity in the foot, sometimes we may need to do a surgery, but we can also offload or take the pressure off that deformity by taking away the calluses and making sure that you don't have excessive pressure that can actually lead to an ulcer. So seeing a podiatrist regularly can actually help you with that, because we shave the calluses and to make sure that they do not turn into an ulcer, or you don't have the pressure on them so that you may develop an ulcer. The next thing you could do is make sure you're wearing the right type of shoes to take the pressure off, to make sure that you're not going to develop an ulcer. If, for example, you do have a small ulcer or something on your feet that may cause concern, definitely see a podiatrist to get that checked. But you need to not look at your feet, not take any chances with your feet, not try to treat it yourself. It's best to come in and get it checked, especially if you have an ulcer or you have an opening in the skin. An ulcer is just a break in the skin or a wound in the skin. And so we like to recommend that persons see their healthcare professional, not to try to treat these ulcers or wounds at home themselves. And definitely do not go in the sea and do not get the ulcer wet. Wounds heal better if they are treated and covered rather than left open to the air. Most people think that, but it's not true. Okay? So it doesn't mean if you have an ulcer that that is going to be the end of it, that you are going to end up with an amputation. Even though 85% of persons who get an amputation actually had an ulcer first. That just means that those ulcers did not heal, and they resulted in an amputation. But if you have an ulcer, you can actually get that to heal and make sure that it doesn't end up with an amputation. There are some things that you can't do at home, but when you have an ulcer, it's best to come and have that checked by a health professional, by a nurse or a doctor at the clinic, especially if you're on one of the islands and you don't have a podiatrist there, go to the clinic and have it checked. They're very, very good at making sure that you know it's time to come in. They say that they quick to cut. But we don't want persons to delay. If you delay, then sometimes they don't have much choice but to recommend an amputation. Because if you have a bad infection, or if you have a lack of blood flow or circulation to the foot, sometimes it is difficult for them to have. There's not much other choices that they can make. But definitely come early, as soon as possible, to get your feet examined and to get any ulcer or any challenges taken care of, because we don't want to leave it like that. I see here that we have someone asking if I come to Eleuthera. So currently I do not come to Eleuthera, but I'm looking into it. So I would definitely love to come to Eleuthera. So I will look into that, Empress, so we can see how we do. Thank you. And then I see here I have my I will call him I don't know how I can describe Roxanne, because that the and her brother, both of them are here,
Warren.
and Warren and Roxanne. So nice to see you guys. Thank you for coming. So good to have you. Wonderful. Okay. So, Carol, you're here as well. They're from Grand Bahama, so they're wonderful that y'all are here on the meeting tonight. We're just looking in the chat again, and we're seeing that there are a number of persons have joined us, and we would just want to say thank you for coming to be with us. So we're going to continue with our discourse on preventing diabetic foot complications. And so we talked about neuropathy. We talked about preventing an injury. We talked about if you have an ulcer or something that's concerning you, that you need to get it checked as quickly as possible. And so even if you can't see a podiatrist, go and see a primary care doctor. Go and see your nurse. Go and see somebody who's going to take a look at that and try to prevent any worse complications. So I see we have a question here in the chat. I'm going to stop and do that for now. So one thing I do to check my feet, is check my feet on a regular basis. I do not wait for the danger to get in the danger zone. So that is awesome. That is exactly right. One thing you can do as a diabetic, or if you know somebody who's diabetic, a loved one, a friend, a sister, a cousin, whatever, is to check your feet as a diabetic, or check their feet every single day. And it's a simple process, about 60 seconds that it takes for you to look at the feet. You look at the bottom of the foot, you look at the top of the foot, you look in between the toes, right? And you make sure that there's nothing that is contributing to any concern. No redness, no opening, no drainage, no anything like that. Anything abnormal, then you definitely should see a doctor about it as soon as possible. Because at the end of the day, prevention is better than cure. And then early intervention is definitely better than late intervention. So we want to make sure that persons are getting the care that they need to be able to prevent these ulcers and amputations. So I had a callus under my feet and it was removed. Okay, then the doctor shaved it off and dig it out. So yes, so definitely that is one of the ways that we can do, and definitely go to the doctor to do that. If you're at home and you have a callus and you want to manage it, we recommend that you use an emery board or a foot file to shave that down rather than you trying to dig that out with a knife or a blade. Sometimes persons dig it out. They tell me they use blades and knives and stuff like that, other kitchen tools to be able to dig the calluses out. So we want to not do that, because that is actually called bathroom surgery. Because when you do that, then you put yourself at risk for actually getting an amputation. So I had a relative who died now. Two lost their legs, one lost one and the other lost both. Um, both legs. First started with the toes and then moved up to the legs. So a lot of times it is common. I'm sorry to hear that, Empress. A lot of times it does happen that persons can get an amputation as a result of what is going on with their feet. I see that Dr. Londono is on the call, and so we're going to just finish this question and then we're going to invite her to begin her presentation. So this evening, join me in welcoming Dr. Elizabeth Londono. Those of you who are regulars on our chat know that she presented last year and we had a wonderful time. Like I said, we just left the South Beach Clinic Foot Fest. And so it took a little while to get home and ready, but we're very, very happy that Dr. Londono is with us. She is a podiatrist and she practices in Miami. And we actually went to Barry University together and graduated together from podiatry school. She's an excellent podiatrist. If you were at South Beach, you would definitely see her skills. And she works in office in Miami as a result with actually a colleague of ours, and she does an excellent job. She told me that she actually saw 96 patients in one day, and I'm like nowhere near that. But that is something fantastic to be able to see that many persons in one day. But she's an excellent podiatrist and she's a mom She has 2 daughters. She's an athlete. She's a dancer. I may show you all that picture that I shot yesterday in Exuma, but I don't know if she want me to show that. But she's she's an athlete and an excellent dancer. And she has been a podiatrist like me for about 16 years. And we enjoy what we do. So she's here to present to us tonight on how to prevent diabetic foot complications. So help me welcome Dr. Elizabeth Londono. You can unmute and begin your presentation.
Good evening, everybody. Bear with me as I put my presentation up. Share.
I'm going to make you co-host. So
yes, please. So she's going to make me. I'll just wait for that. Let's do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent you a request to make me host.
Okay, awesome. Go ahead, we're ready.
Okay. Here we go. And it's right here. Let me know if you guys can see it. Perfect. And I want to show the whole page. And all right, let's see. What is this allow? All right. So good evening, everyone. So my presentation, I think, is going to be familiar to some of you who have seen me present last year as well as the previous year. One of my most, I guess, topics that I'm most interested in is diabetes, seeing what my specialty is. Yet one of my most concentrated aspects of this diabetes is prevention, because I believe that's the only way to keep patients from losing toes, eventually feet, and eventually their life. However, every time I present, I want the listeners, the participants, to go home with at least something new every time. So this year, I'm going to have a few new findings or discoveries in diabetes that I will be sharing with you. So to get started, my agenda this evening, as set by my friend and former classmate, Dr. Monique Mitchell, would be prevention strategies. Patient education is part of prevention strategies. And then I will cover interdisciplinary collaboration. The most important part of diabetes, in my opinion, is what your patient gets to eat every day. And this has to be before they even have diabetes. What I mean by that is to simply have the genes of diabetes, which by now you don't have to wait to have the disease to know that you are predisposed to diabetes. Of course, there's the word of mouth, your grandmother tells you, your mother tells you, or whatnot. But diabetes now, you can test for it genetically, such as draw blood, and there's a marker for it. So by the time you're 16, for example, the same way they do breast cancer, you could do a marker for, are you predisposed to having diabetes? And from that point on, be as aggressive as possible. Why is Dr. Mitchell raising her hand? And I'm like,
Dr. Londono, can you speak up just a little bit more? You sound a little low.
I will try that. Let me see if I can raise the volume. Okay, so what I was saying is that they can genetically test for diabetes. Okay, the same way you do the BR testing for breast cancer, there's a genetic marker for diabetes. So be proactive very early on. If you are a mother and it runs in your family, to confirm, you can have your children tested. and be active with your children. As a matter of fact, statistically anyways, that needs to happen because children now are getting diabetes almost as fast as the rate adults are getting them because of obesity and inactivity. So really, it doesn't hurt to get them tested early on and start the nutritional changes. The other thing that's so important for people to understand is making your patient or giving your patient control of their care. My first visit, that's what I do. We are a team. You are as involved as I am in this care. You can take care of your feet and I can help you save your feet. It doesn't matter how excellent of a physician you are. If your patient is not on board with you, there's not really do. You could perform magics in the office. If they go home, take the bandage off, walk on the dirt or whatever, doesn't matter really what you do. So it's of utmost importance to have your patient be on board with you in their own care. Empower them by educating them, by letting them know that it's a team approach. So that's what I mean by this confidence building strategy. I educate them on nutrition. I educate them on what's a normal blood sugar. Guys, this drives me crazy. This is the question usually I get. I'm like, so how's your blood sugar? Oh, it's okay. I'm like, okay, so give me a number. What do you mean by okay? They're like, oh, it was like 170. That's not okay. Okay, blood sugar in my standard should be under 120, or your hemoglobin A1C is not higher than 5. You're not going to come to my office and get away with I'm pre-diabetic or it's okay or whatever. There is no such thing in my books. If you want no peripheral neuropathy and you want no wounds and you want to save your feet, we're not going to play that game of pre-diabetes or whatever. We're not going to do that. So again, very early on in the visit, your first visit, I make those things very clear and we can pick up from there. The most important other thing also to let your patients know, because some of them will give me this excuse that, oh, I don't like pricking my finger. Well, now instead of pricking your finger, you have the option of the constant monitoring devices, right? So they place it only once in your arm. Some of them are as simple as your smartphone. You just flash it next to the device and it lets you know what your blood sugar is. You should know what your blood sugar is every time, because this way you know what was it that I ate last that made my sugar rise. And then you know to avoid it or to eat half of what you ate to make it rise. So that's super important. Patients need to understand of all the diseases we encounter or disorders, if we want to call it, be it high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes is probably the one you have the most control of, because it's as simple as either exercising, drinking enough water, watching what you eat to control that sugar. The patient just may not be aware of it, so they just give up like, oh, I just have the gene, and then they give up, okay? Let me not skip. That was a lot of slides. Let's come back to this one. So here, we come back here to this one. The other thing that I want us to understand, once a year, if you're diabetic, if you're not even diabetic, I want you to go see a podiatrist. Once you have the diagnosis, at least in the US, your insurance allows you to see a podiatrist included in your plan every 2 months. So that's very important. It needs to happen before anything goes wrong as a preventive thing and to never have a wound. Talk to your primary care physician. If it isn't that you are seeing a podiatrist, have someone in your house always check your feet, or you check your feet daily. You are not going to be caught walking around barefooted or in ill-fitting shoes or in these fancy high heel pointy shoes. So you don't even get a corn that ends up turning into a wound, because it's just as simple as that. A sand prick, a thorn, a callus under somewhere, a corn, and then from there it turns into a full wound. So you want nothing on your feet. You don't even want the fungus infection that happens in between the toes. You don't want any of that. So again, for prevention, what I say is the best prevention is to never have the disorder. So I've already emphasized that. Ahead of time, you're going to be tested if possible, or let's just say you have the genes for it. We already know the type 2. If it's your mom, your father, or whomever else has diabetes, just assume if you don't do something actively daily, you probably will end up with diabetes. So just go ahead and start taking good habits. Studies show that most diabetics at least had the disorder for about 10 years, 5 to 10 years before they were diagnosed. A lot of times it's because there's a symptom that's persisting and they finally end up saying, you know what, let me go to the doctor and find out why my feet are burning. Let me go to the doctor and find out why I'm so thirsty all the time, or why I'm so hungry all the time, why I'm peeing so all the time. And then they get the diagnosis of diabetes. The sad part about it is by that time, if you already have neuropathy, unfortunately, there's no cure for neuropathy, and we may not be able to reverse any percentage of it. So this is yet another reason, another reason why it's so important to stay on top of this diagnosis. So my emphasis last year was the importance of glycemic index. So you make a plate, you'll do your protein, and then let's say you do a salad on the side, right? So meats and salads are digested by completely different mechanisms. The hydrochloric acid it takes to break down meat will counteract the basic solution it takes to break down salad. So basically, you're canceling out the food in your stomach, and the food will just sit there. So again, most of us make a plate by doing a chicken, a fish, a beef, or whatever, and counter it with vegetables, when in actuality, you should never mix that. It's okay, you eat your vegetable first, and then probably 45 minutes later, you could do the meat, or vice versa. But you should never blend the two together, because chemistry-wise, they just end up canceling each other out. That's what I meant by how to eat food in certain order or combination here to help. I think we have reached also a point where food packaging should indicate glycemic index on there. If you were not in my presentation last year, glycemic index is how fast the food you are eating is going to cause the release of sugar in your blood, right? So sugar, we know is sugar. When you eat it right away, is sugar. But there's hidden sugar in a lot of food, such as rice and bread and potatoes and yams and macaroni. Everything you are eating that's from the color beige to white, once it passes your mouth, turns into sugar. Those are what I call hidden sugars. So their glycemic index is high. Versus when you go from white rice to a browner rice, or let's do even better, go to just a full-on grain, like a quinoa or a millet or barley or something like that, you are reducing the glycemic index, meaning how fast that glucose is released in your bloodstream as you eat the food. I really feel if the packaging doesn't state it, you as a consumer, you should look it up so you know what you're eating, okay? Again, if you were not in my presentation last year, I correlated glycemic index in food versus us and our genes. What I'm noticing is I believe the Bahamas has worse cases of diabetes than even the United States. So, but it makes sense to me, right? We come from genes that are called frugal genes. We were born with genes that were efficient in eating food we were used to eating, such as millet or other dry grains. Rice is not a grain that was ours. Rice was important from Asia. We don't have the genes to properly digest rice or potatoes or whatever other food we are eating that's not even genetically our food to eat. And there's such a thing as finding a dietitian who would put you on a nutrition based on your blood type and based also on your origins. It may be something very necessary to avoid certain complications of diabetes. The same people with the same disease, but based on your ethnic group, we see diabetes be so much more aggressive in Black and brown people, okay, because of this frugal gene. So it is of utmost importance to understand what food you should eat and what you shouldn't eat, because those were not genetically programmed for us to eat them anyways. All right. So moving right along again, changes that we made as human beings that are making us more prone to end up with diabetes. I just finished touching on this difference in genes that we have, but the International Diabetic Federation reports that 10.5% of the adult population has diabetes, and about half of those people don't even know they have it. That's rather scary to me. And again, after attending a seminar, that's where I shared that up to 10 years prior, the patients are diabetic and don't even know it. So every year when you go for your checkup, please make sure and ask that they do a hemoglobin A1C. That's a totally more accurate way of diagnosing you than a finger prick, which can change because patients know they're coming in for testing today. So that whole week they eat nice and clean, drink their water and everything. You do a finger prick and it's perfect. Versus the hemoglobin A1C is going to give you the average in the past 6 months. So that's a much more accurate testing. Please ask for that when you go for testing. And as I said, unfortunately, if the neuropathy is already there, it's very difficult to reverse it. We worry about the neuropathy, but the diabetes and the effects it has in the heart is just as devastating. So it's very important to be followed by a cardiologist. Also, it is projected that by 2045, 1 in 8 adults, or approximately 783 million adults, will be living with diabetes. And the majority of these will be the type 2. Again, remember, this is the one that's controllable. This is not the infantile or the juvenile. This is not the gestational. This is not the one where your pancreas got destroyed by a virus you caught. This is type 2 or result of obesity. All right, moving right along. So again, urbanization. So everybody now does not walk because maybe the sidewalks are not as safe to walk. So some of those things are coming back to bite us now because we are not able to do the same thing as we used to do in the past. Another thing of urbanization is now you go to the store and buy your fruits and vegetables rather than growing it in your backyard like the old days. Growing your own food in your own backyard meant you exercise for a good hour to 2 hours in the heat outside to grow it. That's exercise. We don't do that anymore. You sit in the inside, you in AC, watch TV, just go pick up your groceries, which by the way has antibiotics in it, hormones in it, probably pesticides on the fruits and vegetables, and that's what we're eating rather than before it was organic that you grew. But the other very interesting dynamic is the aging population. So people used to die younger. I think I read one time in an article that if you live long enough, everybody always ends up with Alzheimer's, arthritis, and diabetes, just because your metabolism changes, your ratio of muscle to fat changes with age. So it's just kind of like, but we're talking well in the 70s. Decreasing levels of physical activity. So I covered that with urbanization. Most of us have cars or whatever else. You drive as close to the building as possible, park your car and take 5 steps and you inside the building. Then at work, you sit all day long. So, and also this increases the obesity. So coupled with not walking, eating food we're not supposed to be eating, and then those foods are fortified, so we stand no chance end up with obesity and also diabetes. Again, I want to emphasize the importance of education, empowering your patient by giving them as much information as possible. This doesn't mean information overload either. Like, try to talk to the patient in turn. First visit can be something as simple how to do a basic foot check at home. Of course, the foot check your podiatrist does is different, right? We check how your skin is, how soft it is. We check for pulse, we check for nerves, we check on biomechanics or the structure on your feet that could eventually cause problems. That part is important because what we will do at that point is give you diabetic shoes, and diabetic shoes will keep those areas that have bony prominences, for example, from breaking down and giving you a wound. So don't think your podiatrist taking just a few minutes to look at your feet is something that you should just take for granted. It is actually a way to keep you from eventually getting a wound. Importance to know what your blood glucose is. If you don't know it, how are you controlling it? I can't understand how my patients tell me I'm diabetic, and then I say, well, what's your sugar? They have no clue. When was the last time you checked it? Well, I only check it at my doctor's office. But at the same time, you take your medication every day. So what I don't understand is like, so let's assume your sugar was 70. And then you took your medication, but you didn't eat, your sugar can drop all the way in the 40s and you'd be in the coma and now wake up. That's even more dangerous than the high sugar. So for sure, you want to always know what your sugar is, especially if you're taking medication. You have to drink water. Every functioning in our body, every cell that works in our body uses water to do the job it needs to do. So for my diabetic to say, well, I don't really like water, put whatever you need to in there to drink it, be it lime, be it mint, be it that you're going to cut a few watermelons inside, you're going to cut some pineapples to give it flavor, whatever. Drink water. You don't have a choice about it. Exercise, you don't have a choice about it. Sleeping enough, you don't have a choice about it. You don't sleep a certain number of hours per night in a prolonged time, your body would release cortisone, which will make your sugar high. So you don't have a choice about some of these things. Activity daily is one, sleeping enough is one, drinking water is another one. You don't have a choice. You may get away with eating bad once in a while here and there, but those three, you don't have a choice about it. Okay? Pack your food. If you're going to work, which most of us have to as adults, and you're there for at least 8 hours, pack your food rather than pick up the random whatever's available at the office. And most of the time, office food is always unhealthy, from donuts to whatever else. So terms I want to introduce again this year. So this is where you want to take notes. Early signs that may tell you you're diabetic is something as simple as I talked about before, right? Hungry all the time, thirsty all the time, you peeing all the time, losing weight, you really don't know why. It can even be the neuropathy from the numbness, burning. But then there's these stains that show up like on the bend of your neck or on the bend of your arm. We call those acanthosis nigrans. If you see it on somebody and you ask them if they're diabetic and they said no, well, let them know that soon enough they will be diagnosed with it if they already aren't. Okay, this is a telltale sign that it's around the finger. At this point, a finger prick is a monitoring or a empowering activity. It no longer is diagnostic. You need a hemoglobin A1C. Do not rely on finger pricks to let you know you're diabetic or not. You already are. You're going to check your sugar daily to know how much insulin to take or whatever medication to take. You can't base the diagnosis of diabetes from just finger prick. What's better is a hemoglobin A1C, and by now I hope you guys understand what it means. It's a red blood cell that use as measurement, and they calculate the amount of glucose passing by that red blood cell in the last 6 months. So it's an average that it gives from normal, that's 5.7 all the way up. We know roughly what your number is, what your sugar usually is. Another term, amylin. This is a hormone that's produced by the pancreas. The same organ that produces insulin produces amylin. What amylin does is it slows down how fast food moves through the intestine, meaning it slows down digestion, okay? We currently have diabetic medicine based on this technique. So it's sort of the same concept as a glycemic index, whereas the glycemic index is just the sugar that's released. Here, your intestine, the movement of the food throughout your intestine is slowed down by this amylin. There are also order of foods you can eat, which I talked about. You can increase your protein, and you would also increase your amylin this way, reducing the amount of sugar you'll end up with in your body, right? So let me name you at least one that's available in the market. I mean, glucose regulation medication-wise. Pramlintide is one of those as an example, okay? So if you're not on it, you're interested on being or on taking this one, you can go ahead and take that. A couple of other things I wanted to bring up is talking to diabetics, and they're like, Doc, my sugar's always high, but you know, I don't even eat. And I'm like, that's exactly the problem. You are supposed to eat. When you don't eat, what your body is going to say is like, okay, I'm starving. I have to find sugar somewhere, and it's going to take sugar out of the liver and toss it into your bloodstream. This is called gluconeogenesis, okay? And the whole phenomenon is called emoji phenomenon. So you don't want to not eat either. Eat, but just eat healthy. Be choosy about the food you eat, okay? So that's one thing. And then breakfast. This kind of is what's bringing this new crave about intermittent fasting. We know that between the hours of 3 a.m. to 8 a.m., for you to wake up, your body would raise your blood sugar. That's to give you energy to wake up. Yet that's the time that most of us eat breakfast. I'm not saying skip breakfast altogether, but push it till later. Try the intermittent fasting, as in where when you're going to bed, you didn't eat, and then you try to stretch the breakfast until later on, because your blood sugar is already high from waking you up anyways. So I wanted to bring that up. Okay, I think we are almost done, guys. Hang in there. So coming back now to this team approach. Oops, I didn't want to do that. What did I do? Okay, let's go back. I think I closed my presentation. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the team approach. So we've talked about everything to do to not end up being diabetic, or when you're diabetic, how to keep your sugar in control. It's integrating the teams that I wanted as an approach. Obviously, there needs to be a primary care physician. I'm not sure why, but in my travels, I see diabetologists all throughout the world, but hardly ever in the US. These are doctors who only specialize in diabetes. I'm not sure how many you have in the Bahamas either, but definitely a field that we need to explore more. They only deal with diabetes and treat diabetes. Of course, you need an endocrinologist. That's usually who I would send my patients to monitor their dosage of medication. Sometimes some of my patients are over-medicated, where they're getting too much insulin. I feel like I had a lot of them today, and I send them to an endocrinologist. You may need to be interned and your blood sugar be monitored. So it's calculated as to, is it better for you to take the insulin at breakfast time or to take it before bed? But definitely the endocrinologist is a must. At the time where I do the diabetic foot care and my patient shows me signs that they don't have good circulation. I right away send them to a vascular doctor. I do not wait until they have a wound for them to be seen by a vascular doctor. It's too late if you wait until the patient has a wound to go see a vascular doctor. We've reached a stage in my office where almost all my diabetic patients, I do an ABI. This is more than just, this is more for just then looking for hair. I actually do a more detailed vascular study on almost all my diabetic patients immediately. If this exam is off, I right away refer them to a vascular doctor. It can be as simple as they make them take a baby aspirin to as difficult as they have to do some kind of intervention. A neurologist is another one. Patient needs to see a doctor who specializes on nerves and hopefully helps them with that neuropathy. Nutrition talked about, dietitian goes along the same. Physical trainer, sometimes isn't it that proprioception that's off. So the list goes on. The more people you have on your team, the better off it is. Sometimes also therapy of some sort may be necessary. I avoid amputations by doing these exams early on before your patient has a wound. Once they have a wound, you go ahead and be as aggressive as possible, as early on as possible. I like to put them in the hospital, get IV antibiotics on board, and then again, the team approach between the vascular, infectious disease, interventional radiology, and so on. The goal is to save feet, toes, feet, and life. And this would be the end of my presentation at this time, and I will take questions. Thank you very much for your attention. Uh-oh, don't tell me. Can you tell me what's... Why is... Everybody, any questions? Did I lose all of you? Don't tell me this whole time. Questions?
No, you did not.
I was like, wait a minute.
Okay. So there's a lot of comments in the chat saying
The chat. Let me see.
It was great. I say I'm learning new stuff. This
Good.
is awesome. So I don't see any questions yet, but we're gonna ask persons to put their questions in the chat. They were waiting for
Please
more.
ask me lots of questions. I want this to be as informative as
Awesome.
possible. Even if it is a topic you're interested in and I did not cover it, by all means, please ask me questions.
So there's a Dr. Calais, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. Definitely needed. Thank you so much for your team coming down. And thank Dr. Mitchell continuing this great work. I wanted to ask you more about this genetic proponent for persons of African descent to is it associated with their gut and the type of microbiomes that is able to digest the nutrients or you talked about the kind of grains they should be eating. Talk to us more about that. That's very interesting.
Right. So it's just a gene. It's actually not microbiome influence, but I'm glad you're bringing up microbiome influence, because obviously what bacteria is present in your gut is going to influence how fast also you digest certain things. But in general, people of African descent, we have a gene and it's called the frugal gene. That's the most the best name I know for it. So if ever you're interested and just wanted to Google frugal gene, it will come up. So this gene is used to us, again, living in Africa and being super efficient at digesting food and making the best of food. So the goal of this gene was because there was food insecurities in certain parts. and you weren't sure after you ate today, when would be the next time you can get a proper meal, this gene just maximized on the food. So to take that gene or have that gene now, and we move to places where we are eating 3 big meals a day, basically, and the gene is just as efficient with maximizing on the food. Imagine the amount of maximization on the food that's happening. So as far as the grains is concerned, be it rice or all the other polished breads and pastas and things like that we ate, we did not eat that as African gene descendants. So for now to be exposed to eating them, it's just not something we are programmed to eat. That's the best I can tell you on that. As far as the genetic marker you can test for to see if you have the gene for diabetes, it's a gene code. It's a D something something code that they can actually look in your blood. They can look for in your blood. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Does brown rice or and 100% whole grain, do any of them converts into sugar in your body?
Absolutely. So there's such a thing as refined carbohydrates and not as refined carbohydrates, but they're still grouped in chemistry under carbohydrate and still use the same enzyme to be broken down. The difference at this point is just the glycemic index, which one turns into sugar faster. But brown rice as well as white rice are carbohydrates that will spike your sugar. I have to explain it to the patient as in, if you are going to have about 2 spoons of white rice and you end up having about 5 spoons of brown rice, you probably have caught up to the same amount of sugar. Yeah. And the same goes with bread or wheat bread. They're still carbohydrates and will rise your sugar. It needs to be clear. Switching to brown rice or wheat bread doesn't give you permission to eat a full plate of it or to eat a whole loaf of it because it's just wheat or whatever. It will still spike your sugar. The fibers in there help as well, but it will still spike your sugar if you eat a big amount of it.
Okay. So what about the difference between white grits and yellow grits?
Right. So the one is just a bit more than the other. So it's slightly better, but again, you increase the quantity of it, you're going to end up with the same result.
Okay. And I hear some advice that the sweet potato is good for diabetics.
We call the yellow one, yeah? That's more like a yam with the fibers.
Okay, that's what we call the American yam.
That's the one you're talking about? That's the one you're talking about, not the white potato, Irish potato.
No, not Irish potato. I understand that converts to sugar. But I was wondering about, because normally you are told that the sweet potatoes are better for diabetics. And
Okay,
I'm wondering.
so what they're banking on is the beta.
Or the fiber.
Right. They're banking on the beta carotene and the fiber in it to counteract the sugar. So yes, it is better, but we go with the same concept again. You can't have sweet potatoes with a rice or another carbohydrate on your plate for dinner. It's okay to have a baked sweet potato with some kind of protein or something else for lunch. And then when it comes to dinner time, have something even lighter with plenty of water.
Okay.
But yes, that one is better.
Another thing, my doctor told me that blueberries do not spike your sugar, but I found that almost any fruit I eat spike my sugar.
You're right, because they all have fructose, whether they're sour, tangy, or whatever. You are right.
So So I'm wondering, what do you do? I mean,
Oh, boy.
you have to eat something. I mean, you need some sugar to give you energy.
So I gave you guys, you're right. I gave you guys pointers on what to do then. If you increase your water intake, you dilute the sugar. And then if you're able to exercise, your muscles would use the excess sugar as fuel, like to be able to burn energy. Your muscles will pull that sugar from your bloodstream. So eat. By all means, I don't want you guys to not eat. Go ahead and eat, especially if you're eating berries. Foods that have bright colors will give you antioxidants. And this is actually good because it will come and kind of flush your arteries with like byproducts or debris from the things your body does every day. So by all means, eat your berries. I think the best meal to get away with all those things is lunchtime, right? As I covered, breakfast, your sugar is still too high, but at lunchtime, you can get away with a little dessert being fruits. But then by all means, if you can, get in a 30-minute nice walk. And by exercise, I'm not expecting everybody to go lift weight or do a marathon or whatever. It's a 30-minute consistent walk to where if you had a phone, you couldn't keep a conversation and you are sweating. Because what happens at that time is your heart is working harder, right? And then your metabolism is going, you're sweating, you're able to flush away things. And then, like I said, your muscles can use the sugar to run. It's a very easy thing. If you prick your finger before going for a 30-minute walk, like I'm talking about, and your sugar is about 150 something, when you come back and prick your finger again, your sugar would have dropped. That's like very basic science. So do eat the fruits and vegetables or the healthier options, and also do exercise, and then do drink your water.
Thank you.
Like what, the macaroni?
You're welcome.
One last question, please, if I can.
Okay,
My
go
doctor
ahead.
recently put me on metformin. I noticed I haven't taken a week of them yet, but I noticed I've been having headaches and
You burning it up?
loose bowel, and also what's the other thing?
You trying to burn it then, Chris?
Yeah, that's a very
And
common
also
side
my
effect with
joints.
metformin.
Because I'm wondering what else should I
I turn it off.
what is probably a better medication? What I probably could recommend to her.
So you have options. There's the glipizides, there's the Jamicron. So you have other options. Just discuss that with your primary care physician and see what other options you have. But definitely, metformin is not the only thing you have.
You said lipicides. Okay.
Glipizide, it's with the GLI, glipizide.
Oh, GLI.
Yes. And then there's, I think you guys call it Jamicron. I don't know how to say it, but I know I saw some of the patients here with it. Farxiga is another one. And to be fair now, there's a whole new family of diabetes medication that helps also with weight control. I'm not sure how utilized it is here, but the Ozempic family. It's a whole bunch of them that are out now. And then this one that I mentioned last, the Primintide, that's amylin base. So there are options out there. And if you have to, remember my board that showed the team approach, find an endocrinologist. They may know a bit more about your options than your regular primary care physician.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any more questions?
I don't see any more questions in the chat, but yes, we will have the recording uploaded to our YouTube channel. probably by next week. So we'll have the recording there so you can go there and watch it. So I check in the chat. Said, thanks for an informative presentation, Dr. Londono. Excellent presentation. I learned some new information. So awesome.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. How was the internet? Was the internet okay? Did I break in and out?
A little bit, but you were good. We could hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Okay, so do we have any questions? If not, then we're going to move toward closing. Okay, no more questions, but more commendations. Thank you for excellent presentation. Thank you. Awesome job. So,
Oh, thank you.
all
Good night.
right.
Good night.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
We're gonna
Dr.
move to our
Mitchell.
closing. We have our closing prayer.
Dr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Rumkey lady in the house. Listen, my concern is, hey, because most of my clients, most of my home visiting clients who are diabetic, money is their issue. Eh?
This is true.
Because they got social issues. They barely have something to eat. And then you call in the podiatrist, and if they can't get into Dr. Johnson, they don't have no money. The vascular doctor, they don't have no money. So my thing is, hey, the government know, and if they are so concerned about, like they say, the CNCD diseases, like hypertension, diabetes, and they know what diabetes can do, they need to be serious about this business. Like I always say, they ain't serious, because if they serious, they'll make things readily available and easy accessible, because they know the average person. But anyway, we get poor and rich in the Bahamas now. We even ain't get the average now. So mostly the patients, what I see, they on low income. And most of these
Right.
vascular doctors and the endocrinologists, are a bit pricey.
They are.
So the
They are.
patients, them,
So this is
they ain't got the money to see.
right.
They won't
This
go.
is
When I
true.
suggest it to them,
So
they say, nurse, but we ain't got the money. So the government really need to
so this is
try
what we
come
need to
hand in
do,
hand.
guys.
Hello.
Go
What
ahead.
we need to do, this is what we need to do at the elementary level. At the elementary level at schools, education needs to be dispersed, and people need to be educated as young as elementary level about how to prevent these diseases, and we be serious about it. Your healthcare, the well-being of you cannot be put in the hands of government. The government was never played for that. You have to be the one actively doing something for your health to never get to where you even need a vascular or an endocrinologist. I brought that on very early on into my presentation. We have to empower. If you watch your mother is diabetic and you are 16 years old, you better just decide, okay, if I don't do actively something every day, I'm going to end with my mother. And you start at that age doing that. So this is the reprogramming of the population, the re-education of the population. We cannot wait and rely on government and rely on pills and rely on things like that. It has to be, the children now are being more obese than the adults, because all they want to do is stay inside the house and play on phones and play on whatever else, and then grab McDonald's here, the parents get Dunkin' Donuts over there and everything else. We can't turn around and then say, oh, the government didn't give me this. It can't be like that. It has to be a personal lifestyle change all throughout, from grandma all the way to the youngest kids. Certain things, certain foods never enter my house. Never. I grocery shopping. I have control over what my children eat. We go to the grocery store, soda never comes in my house, juice in my house, the chips never come in my house, candies, none of that never come in my house. Your children would eat the food you have available to them. And it starts as young as that.
Listen.
So, Dr. Londono, we agree.
There's no
Yes.
disagreement. There's another Rumpke lady in the house. But what nurse is saying is we do have a population now that we need to advocate for, and you are seeing that
Correct.
population. So now you have been seeing our population, and we have to
Yeah.
consider how do we, similarly as Dr. Mitchell has done with getting podiatrists, there must be a way to get the vascular surgeon, the endocrinologist, and when your team comes down, to have other people who are part of that team to do an assessment for the population. Otherwise, they will
Right.
die out. And I think that we
Yeah.
can do something. Yes, we can start with the young population. That's a great idea. But what can we do? And so I would recommend when you come down the next time, see if your team could reach out to your cardiovascular, your surgeon, all those other people in the team. They might be excited of coming down to
Yes.
the Bahamas and doing something for the thing is, our population is smaller. So you could run through a lot of
Right.
people, or they can come another time.
In
So
a
then there's
smaller amount of
another
time. Yeah.
team that comes to follow up because then you would have screened the ones that need the next level, and we can do that. So that
Right.
would be my recommendation to provide the support until the country itself has enough of those persons who are in the public system to provide the support for the people of the Bahamas
Right.
who are paying. Thank you.
Thank you. I did. Yesterday, coming back from Exuma, I added to the list 2 doctors I work with at the hospital. One of them is an interventional general surgeon, and he can do minor vascular work. So I will diligently stay in his ear so he can come next year. And I will work also on a vascular I work with who's very close to me, even if it is just 2 days that he does come. We'll have to make sure also that there's in place facilities for them to do the work they need to do properly. So we definitely will put it on our bucket list and see what we can do coming back next year. Thank you for that input.
You're
Awesome.
welcome.
Awesome
I know
discussion.
it, Dr. Mitchell, I know you can get it done.
All right. So if you have a comment here, it says cost of living is so high now. It's so hard to maintain a healthy diet constantly, especially on the islands. So yeah, we understand that everything comes by boat, but we can, like Dr. Londono said, try growing something, So that's one of the strategy that a lot of persons are using now to be able to grow, even if you're not able to grow everything, but if you can grow tomatoes, that's at least something you don't have to buy, or onions or whatever it is. And then we can also share, like if I grow tomatoes and you grow onions, we
And
could
crop
probably
share.
banter
Mhm.
and share, between each
Yeah.
other. That'll save us both some money. So I think
Yeah.
we'll definitely need to be creative in some of the ways that we can
Right. I agree.
can help each other.
And, yeah, and I know at home, so I probably didn't share this, but I was born in West Africa in Senegal. And what we do is we have markets that are cheaper than supermarkets. Like,
Hmm.
do you guys have that here where it's
Yeah.
like a proper market? You just go.
Hmm.
The difference is like the food does not stay fresh as long because again, it's organic. So whatever you buy, you have to cook right away rather than refrigerating it. So something like that may be cheaper than buying from a supermarket, but I definitely sympathize with the increase of cost of living.
Yeah. So we do have like farmers markets that are happening like on the weekends and stuff like that. And then we have Bamsey, which is a place where they house the food that's grown like on different islands. So these are all ways that and an interesting thing is the high schools
Mm-hmm.
the high schools actually have farmers have like gardens, and they grow
Right,
vegetables and stuff like that, and they actually sell them. So a number of the high
right.
schools actually do that, and so that's another way to get it a little bit cheaper too. So I just saw CV Bethel or one of the other high schools, and they sell like a whole list of foods vegetables that they
Right.
grow, and the price is so much less than it would be in the supermarket. So there are some ways that we can cut down on how much it costs, but definitely the cost of living is high and the price of food is high. So, but we need to
It's
try
true.
to see how we can improve that. So if there are no other
Even Miami.
comments, go ahead.
Even Miami, we're doing community gardens in Miami,
Mhm.
believe it or not, like a big city like Miami. And this is mostly, again, in Black neighborhoods. They have started when someone has a big vacant land, they're just growing things. And the community comes on Saturdays with bags or whatever. And what they do is like a certain size bag box is $5 and you can fill it up with whatever. So just ideas, little things like that.
That can be, yeah. So that's something that we can probably look into as well. So, okay, so awesome job, awesome. We're so thank you everyone for coming and thank you for staying on. It was a very good presentation. We enjoyed it and learned a lot. So everyone, Ms. Davis, good night. Good to see you. So we're gonna have now Elder Mitchell to come give us
Good
our
night. Thank
closing
you.
prayer. And we want to say thank you to Dr. Londono, who did an awesome
It
presentation
was a pleasure.
for us. So we'll have our closing prayer and then we'll end the meeting.
Let us pray. Father, thank you for this opportunity we have had to sit and learn so much about our everyday health and so much about how to take care of ourselves better for the future, that we may become better witnesses for you and live a more comfortable, better, more effective life. Help us now not to just know this information, but to apply it to our everyday lives and to teach it to those with whom we come in contact. Please give us a good night, safe in your arms of protection and mercy. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Good
Amen.
night.
Thank you so
Good
much
night.
again. It was an honor.
Yes, thank you. Next year.
Next year.
Yeah.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Keep coming
All right.
back.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
So we'll be back right here next month on the second Thursday. What is the date? The second Thursday in April. We'll be talking about amputation prevention, which is the 10th of April. So our April is known as Amputation Prevention Month or Amputation Awareness Month. So we'll be talking specifically about that, and that's going to be on the 10th of April. So we'll see you right back here. The Zoom link is always the same, so you can always just join us on that link that you joined in today. So thank you everyone for coming. I'm going to close the meeting now. So have a good night, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.